Hello you guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so excited to film this because today I'm going to be reading 3 popular book talk book recommendations, or just like books that I have seen on TikTok over and over again that people rave about. And honestly, I just want to know what the hype is. I already have a lot of these books on my TBR, just haven't gotten to them, and I actually finished a book last night, so this is the perfect time for me to start this video. I did go ahead and like make a list of books that I have kind of seen on TikTok over and over again. I haven't quite decided what book I want to read first. I did download a bunch, but one thing I have learned about myself recently is that I am just a mood reader. Like, I just need to see like how I feel, what the vibe is. A couple of the books that I saw over and over again on TikTok, I almost said Instagram because I have my Bookstagram, and a lot of the like books I see on that versus on TikTok are the same. Saw The Things We Leave Unfinished, the Twisted Love series, Things We Never Got Over is a really popular one, If He Had Been With Me, but that one is supposed to be like really sad and I'm not really in the mood to cry. The Binding 13 series, which I think is the Tom and Boy series, I've seen that a lot lately. Daughter of No Worlds, The Serpent and the Wings of the Night, those are both fantasy books that Sarah Crowley, she's been raving about them, so I am very interested in those. Say You Swear, I've seen a lot of Colleen Hoover books, obviously, like Verity's a really popular one, and I've also seen Reminders of Him. Archer's Voice, Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren, and also Magnolia Parks. And I do have Magnolia Parks on my list. Like, I really want to read that series this year because I've heard incredible things. I actually got lunch with a friend, which is why I'm in the car, and I got my hair colored this morning, and I always pass this one beachside bookstore, and I finally decided to go in. It's this cute little small shop. I was talking to my hairdresser, just telling her that I wanted to film this, and she recommended reading Reminders of Him because she says that is like the best Colleen Hoover book she has ever read. And the first thing I saw when I walked into the bookstore was Reminders of Him. So I'm definitely going to be reading this in this video. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to read this first because I did actually go ahead and download a bunch of books on Kindle Unlimited. I told myself I was in a book buying ban, and then I went ahead and I walked in the store and I bought this. I'm going to try to read mostly books that are in Kindle Unlimited, but I did download Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. This is a sports romance, and I've never read a sports romance. I thought this would be like maybe kind of fun to try. I'm only like 2 chapters into it, but I'm not sure how I feel. It's a young adult book. There seems to be a lot of like partying and stuff like that, which really isn't my vibe. I don't know. I think I'm going to keep reading and like see how I feel, but this is also almost a 600-page book. I might start with this one. I'll have to think on it on my drive home and kind of like let you guys know and update you. I have no idea what I'm going to read for the 3rd book and if I'm even going to continue with Say You Swear, but definitely comment down below like what book talk books you have read and whether or not you think they're worth the hype. That is like my goal for this video, is to find out whether or not they're worth the hype. So that is all for me. I will be sure to update you guys once I figure out which book I'm going to read first. A reading update. I am on chapter 11, so it's about 100 pages in, and I will say I'm really glad that I gave this a chance because it's really good so far. It's definitely giving me like One Tree Hill, Gossip Girl, except it's football instead of basketball. If you guys have watched One Tree Hill, it's a very close-knit friend group. They've all grown up together. They're very protective of one another. There's 3 girls and 2 guys. There's a lot of drama that goes on between like the different family members and the friend group. The tension is just steaming off the pages. The story has dragged me in, and I just have a feeling that I'm gonna get attached. But it's cool because I love when you get to see like different point of views from like the guys and the girls, and you get that in this book. It's really good so far. They're so cute. They're just so cute. I love them. I love the healthy communication that they have with each other, and the fact that like he goes out of his way, literally go to her house to tell her that he lost his phone, and that's like why he's not texting her. Guys, I'm literally wrecked. I was reading the author's note and she literally says, "You made it to the end. How are you feeling?" For sports romance, like, it wasn't as heavy on like the sports aspect that like I guess I thought it would be, so it was a little different than I was expecting, but I really loved it. I loved the tight-knit friend group and that they're just so protective of one another. I loved the like brother-sister relationship that is in here. The romance. There's a love triangle between the main character Ariana and then two of the different guys. I don't want to say which ones, but you get like all of their POVs, which is really cool. It is just like pure torture at some points, and it will tug on your heartstrings. I understand why it's so popular on TikTok. I think it is worth the hype, and if you love like One Tree Hill, like it literally felt like watching a whole season's worth of like One Tree Hill. The male character definitely falls first, and he falls hard, and I just love the meaning behind the title. Good morning, you guys. It's the next day. I finished Say You Swear last night, and I'm still thinking about that book. But if you haven't already guessed it, I'm going to start book number 2 today, which it's going to be Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. I honestly don't really know that much about this book going into it. I just know that a lot of people have recommended it to me. I think the main lead, Kenna, she's like in prison and she has a daughter and she's trying to get back into her daughter's life. And then she meets Ledger, who works at a bar and is somehow connected to her daughter, and they must have a romance. Kemper's being very vocal this morning, but I'm excited. I feel like I like going into books blind because then I don't have like other people's opinions affecting how like I'm like gonna be going into the book, like what my mindset is, if that makes sense. I think the cover is so pretty. Yeah, let's get into it. On page 79, and this book is really intense. Like, I think the trope is really unique, and I don't want to say what it is because I don't want to spoil anything, but it's just so sad and kind of dark. I'm really curious like how the whole situation went down as to like how she got into prison, because she like has kind of hinted at what happened but not fully explained it. Also forgot to mention first impression of Ledger. I was literally thinking of Virgin River the whole time when I first started the book, because she walks in, she's all by herself, she walks into Ledger's bar. The bar is named after him. He owns the bar, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is literally Jack from Virgin River. But that's where it stops. Like, it's not at all like Virgin River. I had to put that in here because I was thinking about that the whole time when I first started reading. For a book update. Would you guys believe me if I told you I've been filming this video for 3 weeks now? I finished the book last night. It was good, but it wasn't my favorite Colleen Hoover book. I think the romantic trope between the main characters is really interesting because I've never, well, I don't want to say I never have read a book like that, because I have, but I feel like there aren't a lot of books out there that like have this specific trope. So it was really interesting to read about that. The story was really good. There's a lot of forgiveness and feeling guilty and redemption and healing. It has a happy ending, which I did really like, because I didn't know the whole time I was reading it like what way the plot was gonna go, because it could have clearly gone one of two ways, but it was still good. But overall, I don't think, like, it didn't give me that feeling of I wanna keep reading this, like I cannot stop, and I didn't feel like super attached to the characters. I like had my headphones on with the Reminders of Him Spotify playlist I was listening to and reading, and the song Sad, Beautiful, Tragic by Taylor Swift came on, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is literally the vibe of this book. Definitely be sure to like check the trigger warnings, because the main character in here, she is very depressed at times, and it's just kind of like a dark plot line, I guess, because of like how she ended up in prison. But it was very easy to get into. It felt very effortless reading it, and like I said, I think in an earlier update, like the title Reminders of Him becomes very evident early on into the book. It was okay. I decided to rate it 3 stars. Moving away from Reminders of Him, I was trying to think today what I want to read for the last book of this video, and I kept going back and forth between the second Twisted game, like this, what is it? The Twisted series, the second book, it's Twisted Games, and then Carissa Broadbent book, The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I can never remember what that's called. I just feel like it's a mouthful. I know I've already read 2 romance books for this video, and I read like I think 2 romance books previous to reading those 2. So I think I'm gonna try to change it up and read the fantasy book, The Serpent and the Wings of the Night, because I have seen this everywhere, like literally everyone. BookTube, Instagram, TikTok. It is available on Kindle Unlimited. I believe it's a duology. I don't know if a third one's coming out, but they are both available on Kindle Unlimited, which is nice because like I said, I'm on a book buying ban. Let's get into this book. Got my ACOTAR shirt on. I am so tired, but I wanted to give you guys a reading update because I just hit around 200 pages, which means I'm now on part 4 of the book. And it's okay so far. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's definitely not like ACOTAR, which is what I have seen like all over TikTok. It's basically like a vampire version of the Hunger Games. That is how I can best describe it. The main character, her name is Araya. She was rescued by this vampire king. Her entire family was murdered and he basically like took her in as his own and raised her. She is currently a contestant in this trial that they have every couple of hundreds of years that is based around their like goddess, which I don't know how to pronounce it, but I believe you say it's like Nyaxia or something like that, and whoever wins this contest or trial, whatever you want to call it, it gets a gift from the goddess. So basically she's trying to win this. The writing has been pretty good, like it's been very easy to read. I can like picture it in my head so vividly, which I do really enjoy, and there's not a lot of like down moments. It's like very action packed, which I appreciate because I just hate when you read a book and they just like blabber on to like fill space. Like this book is not like that. However, I just feel like it's going really slow because it's like a 532 page book and I'm only on page 203. So we're gonna see how this progresses. That is my update. Hello you guys, I finished The Serpent and the Wings of Night last night, if that's even what it's called. I feel like I mess that up every time because it is a mouthful. I decided to rate it 4 stars. It was good. It had a couple different plot twists in here that I was not expecting, especially as you get to the end. And the enemies to lovers trope in here is just done so well, even though it's kind of like a forced proximity because they are all competing in this competition together. The romance didn't feel forced at all, which I really like. And the end, I feel so betrayed because of the way that it ended. So I will definitely be picking up book number 2. As for like whether or not it's worth the TikTok hype, I'm not sure. I think if you're comparing it to ACOTAR, it is not like ACOTAR at all. The only time I was thinking about ACOTAR when I read this is because they're vampires, like they have wings. At one point she asked him to get on his knees and I was like having the flashbacks. If you guys have read, you definitely know what I mean by that. So to wrap up this video, I have all of the books right here, and as you guys can see, I literally went out and bought a copy of Say You Swear. This is definitely my favorite book that I've read for this video, and I think I'm going to be changing my rating from a 4.5 to a 5 stars because I can't stop thinking about it, and I just already want to go back through and read and like annotate this because the physical copy of it is so beautiful. Like, look at the inside pages, and then on all the chapter pages there is like this little picture. I mean, it is a a little cringy now that I'm looking at it. I just love the story so much. Like, I am still thinking about it, and I think this is definitely gonna be like one of my top 3 favorite books that I have read so far this year. So yes, I definitely think this one was worth the hype. And moving into the second book that I read for this video, I read Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover, which I rated 3 stars. This is a romance, and it was a good story, and I think the trope was really interesting because I haven't read anything like that before, but I have read better Colleen Hoover books, and this one just didn't hit for me in particular. I would say this is probably like what I would rate last out of all of the books that I read for this video, because I have read better Colleen Hoover books. And then last but not least, like I just explained, I read The Serpent and what is this? The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Kardas Broadbent. This is a fantasy book. It is a duology. I will be reading the second one, and I decided to rate this 4 stars. So I think this one, I don't know, if you like reading Colleen Hoover, then I would say this is probably worth the TikTok hype, but like I said, I've read better Colleen Hoover books. And as for The Serpent and the Wings of Night, I think if you enjoy reading fantasy, it would be worth the hype because the writing is done so well. Like, I could visualize everything in my head so clearly, and just the different plot twists that I didn't see coming was impressive. And like I said, I am going to be picking up the second one. So yeah, I think this is worth the hype, but I would not compare this to ACOTAR. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. It took me so long to film, so hopefully it's not too long for you, but definitely give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe below if you guys are new. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next one. Bye guys.